And it's one of those ideas that is so brilliant in hindsight that it seems totally obvious. Like this segue to our sponsor, especially in a world where GPU prices have risen to the point where they're just unreasonable and gaming on top tier hardware has become less and less accessible. Just like I'm always accessible to segue to our sponsor. We figured out what Microsoft hasn't been able to in the last 3 years, and we might even have the solution. Just like we have the solution to perfectly segue to our sponsor. I'm not gonna be recommending a Windows laptop over a MacBook until you've either fixed it or re-enabled S3 Sleep. What I can recommend though, is this segue to our sponsor. All we need is a little bit of help from the contents of this pouch. And from our sponsor. You didn't finish your snack today, you gotta finish your snack. And you gotta finish the segue to our sponsor. But my kids have been going to bed with 2 or even 3 blankets at night because the upstairs is much colder than the downstairs.
You just trying to guilt trip me now?
Thankfully, we have the solution, just like we have the segue to our sponsor.
It's starting to open.
Oh, that's awesome. Oh, I didn't bring the thermal camera with me, but...
Or my phone. I left my phone up there.
Oh, all right, cool. Just like I left this segue to our sponsor. Are people actually buying these? Who are the companies building them? Is it possible that they're a legit good value? And why is it taking so long to tell you this message from our sponsor? But given that they've basically just commercialized what we've been advocating for years, I guess I can't go too hard on them. At least not as hard as I go segueing to our sponsor. I had no idea that these things even existed, but they do, and we're gonna be taking a close look. You know what else exists? This message from our sponsor. Either provide a fix or open up the firmware so that the community can work on getting it working wirelessly over Bluetooth. Please, and thank you. And thank you for checking out our sponsor. Right, Adam? Attaboy. Almost as comfortable as I am, segueing to our sponsor.
Now, I hated this thing when I first got it, but after a week working in it, can I call dibs?
Not like I've called dibs on this message from our sponsor. AMD is my only hope for an upgrade this generation. Just like my only hope of paying our production team is our sponsor. And the downsides are small enough that I am comfortable making the leap. Just like I'm gonna comfortably leap to this segue from our sponsor. Because these principles have been valid for as long as this channel has existed, and it doesn't look like they're gonna change anytime soon. Like my cringe segues to sponsors like. So these GPUs can make economic sense in that market. What makes economic sense for me is to segue to our sponsor. It really does make a huge difference, but not in the way you might expect. What you probably expected though was this message from our sponsor. It's far more likely to be your SO when they see how much it costs. At least you can give them comfort when they know that it doesn't cost as much as our sponsor paid for this segue to. Oh my God.
That's the ignition source. That's where we're gonna light the whole thing up.
Oh, shut up. I'm in. Just like I'm in to tell you about our sponsor.
It's very ergonomic now. No more sharp corners.
I don't think
Oh,
that's,
geez.
whoa!
Oh, and it crashed.
Okay, crashed and burned, just like this segue to our sponsor. Ah! So, are they garbage? Are they better than what we're making? There's only one way to find out. By hearing this message from our sponsor. Okay, just gotta, just gotta tuck into bed now and tell you a little story from our sponsor. The rules today are simple then. I have to do everything the AI tells me as if I have no PC building knowledge whatsoever. I mean, what could go wrong? But enough about this. Let's take a moment to thank our sponsor for supporting this program and making it possible for us to bring you this innovative technology.
It's TikTok, Linus. You need the views.
Oh God, they make it look easy.
Also, you're not doing anywhere near enough. Look at how much they have up there.
Well, I mean, that seems like a lot. Look, Alex, I don't think there's any right way to do this, but there is the right way to tell you about our sponsor. What? Now imagine that I'm gonna tell you all of those things after this message from our sponsor. So I guess you'd have to say that the Best Buy wasn't at the Best Buy. Oh, stop groaning. Because you can get the Best Buy with our sponsor. To find out, we're gonna be building a new most average gaming PC because GPUs aren't the only thing that's changed in the last 2 years. For instance, we've got a completely new sponsor. It's The bar does look like it's about to jump up, by the way, with the RTX 3060 gunning for the top spot, but that's another story for another day, just like this story about our sponsor. How do we take that and put it into this? And how do we take this Segue and use it to tell you about our sponsor? I mean, with everything on network storage, it's super easy to move projects between systems, but that remains to be seen. Just like it remains to be seen who is our sponsor for this video. So we're gonna take a look at two of the most popular options, Powerline and Mocha, and see which one works best for Colton. And we're gonna see what works best to tell you about our sponsor. Wireless is bad and you guys know it, you've all experienced it. Just like you've experienced the Segue to our sponsor.